Oh, there's so many other standards that are being missed out here where Hasan has totally reasonable arguments. But most people don't consider that doxing, but it could still be illegal. Okay, but it's probably not, is it? When one happens, people are like, oh, that's based. When the other happens, people are virtue signaling and crying and saying it's so terrible. That's the point. Yo, guys, I think Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch now. I think Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch. Dan Clancy's gone, yo. Hasan's gonna get banned. Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch. Dude, it is like the surest sign of just like someone who's completely brain rotted. Brother rocking the Chud Logic hairline, playing the Cunny celebration gifts. So there's an hour and 26-minute stream here with LegalMindset, where him and I believe some other Lawtubers go over Hasan and related content.
To legal topics. There are lots of different channels out there that are doing legal streaming. Some of them focus, a lot of them focus on criminal streaming. So they'll focus on trials. They'll focus on maybe a murder case or whatever else, right? Many of them were doing the Reed trial recently. And there'll be other trials that they cover in the future. And while I will sometimes cover court cases that are of personal interest or that seem particularly spicy, I don't always do that. Many other channels do that better than indeed I do. And one of the beautiful things about Lawtube, one of the things that's really awesome is every single lawyer within this has their own specialty. They all have their own thing that they're really good.
Yeah, is that the Doobie the Frog? Thank you for the $10. Huge appreciated.
At their thing they know a lot about. And that's sort of like having a law firm. At a law firm, especially a big law firm, you have different senior partners that are special at different things and that have different focuses. And that's one of the great things I find about this community is that you can turn to a person who perhaps has more niche knowledge than you in that area if it's of their area of specialty. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. It's a really cool thing. And
wow,
one thing that's really amazing is that we can always disagree on legal stuff and still be cool with each other, which is always very nice. I do enjoy that. Knockoff Amian says, does Amazon have the right to replace Twitch's CEO or break their partnership with Twitch? If they break their partnership, could it end up bankrupt? I don't know their finances. So you're asking me a question that involves me looking at their finances. I would need to get their financial arrangements, etc. I don't know the back of the house for them, so I couldn't say that. As for replacing their CEO, I don't know what their agreement is and the nature of their agreement, but assuming that's a parent company, then yes, at least they would probably be able to influence that. But I would need to look into that. I don't think Amazon is not going to go bankrupt. Let me put it that way. Amazon is definitely not going to go bankrupt. As for Twitch, I mean, I think the platform would be bought up. If
Farm's
anything,
favorite lawyer, yeah, he's a total though. He's like actually giga. I've seen him fuck up so much. He's like actually dumb as fuck. It's so crazy. What's the list at this point? What's the list of this guy's fuck ups? What's the list of stupid shit this guy said? So going back, we've got the Destiny case. I didn't follow him that much during Rakita, but I get the sense that maybe he went too far. I didn't follow him close enough. I did see some of his videos. But then the Destiny thing was really bad when he kept saying that Cherry could qualify under a law that was for visual depictions exclusively. And you kept saying Cherry could qualify when obviously anyone that knows anything about the case knows it was an audio recording and that would not be a visual depiction. So that was a really bad one. Then this Hasan stuff has been atrocious. So he couldn't read the Twitch TOS. He can't, like, he thinks that there's a legitimate course of action for streamers who feel like they've had unfair enforcement of TOS, even though a million people have gone to fucking lawyers with that sort of shit before when they've been banned from social media sites. Gotten nowhere with it. Doesn't seem to be any course of action. No lawyers will take it because there's no reason to believe it's going to succeed, because these platforms do seem to have the legal right to basically ban whoever they want. It'll probably come down to a First Amendment issue for the companies. Yeah, and he knew it was audio too. That's like the worst part. So saying there could be a legitimate course of action for unfair enforcement, that's like totally retarded. He accused Hasan of defamation for saying that he, what was it? Was a right-wing lawyer, which he is, or did right-wing content, which he does. Was a Rumble lawyer, which he is, because he streams on Locals, which is a Rumble platform. With, he said he wasn't a passport bro, that was defamation, even though he qualifies under the definition of passport bro given in a previous video. Fuck, man. Oh, yeah, he said he doesn't sell courses, but he does do paid consultations. And I think there was some evidence of courses.
There would be another company.
But yeah, just endless retarded shit from this guy.
Could put it to use, right? So even if they had to sell it or whatever, they would keep the platform in general, because there's a lot of things that could be used wisely, right? Okay, I'm gonna answer some stuff here, guys. I'm not gonna, if it's an off-topic question, because we're gonna move here, I will answer it very shortly, or not answer it at all. So let's keep it generally on topic. GoBird says, off topic, please feel free to discard any thoughts on the Epstein issue. Nope. Mostly because this was the outcome that was going to happen all along. I don't know why people were surprised. Roadkill VT says the ad recommends using a VPN to watch stuff on Netflix and other countries to gain additional content. Does this subvert American availability? The ad. Well, maybe you saw an ad, even Thailand. How Denims, Casey Tron, Frogan, even Sean the Black, even though he's not being sued. We're going to get to him. Don't worry. Oh, don't worry. We're getting to Sean the Black. I haven't seen anybody say they're going to win on the merits. Not one person. You know how many lawyers like to, disagree with each other and think they're going to win, that, we're going to argue the other side or argue, devil's advocate.
Payment
I have not seen one that says, nope, this
me 5 years ago.
Nudes K-Pax. Is that K-Pax? Thank you for the $100. Hugely appreciated though, Doobie. Very generous of you. Insanely generous of you, in fact. Hugely appreciated. Thank you so much.
This is looking good for them. Now, of course, there's no guarantee, which is my second one. There's no guarantee. But Ethan Klein clearly has a legal upper hand, right? So obviously, there's never 100% shot, but all of them have said it doesn't look good for the orbiters, at the very least. And that's saying something. That's definitely saying something. Someone brought up, I think there's someone brought up someone who was defending the orbiters, but the only defense I've heard of the orbiters, and there's one, there's one minor character. I'm not even going to say his name. The chat knows, but I'm not even going to say this guy's name. And
okay, back to chat. Just donation shame Doobie. Oh, but it's insanely generous. Anyway, Doobie, thank you so much. Thank you.
Not actually say they were going to win on the merits, from what I heard. All he said was the system was broken, and it's a systemic problem, and it's not fair that people with a lot of money win. That's not saying they're going to win on the merits. So he did not say that they're going to win in court. What he said was the system's not.
Okay, yeah, this is just like retarded.
Okay, let's get it here. Robert Von Beek, 4 months. My biorhythm is going to sue you.
Well, we all agree that, yeah, Ethan's got a good claim.
And once again, that distinction is a general colloquial verb distinction. Some state bars actually do require you to use the word lawyer only if you're registered with the bar. But
there's no way he has like a PowerPoint that only has one slide, right? Like he only looks at this one slide. No. Okay, here we go. He's on the doxing stuff here. Okay, that's better.
Personal
Fuck
assets,
the copyright
like
stuff.
Assets. In interest of copyright infringement, to have it, they think there's to
way
intimidate better. Violates California law. And I want to reinforce that it doesn't matter whether it's an airsoft or not. So a lot of people really care about it being airsoft. It doesn't matter When you look at the California statute, which we've looked
at. Dude, look how quickly, see how quick the narrative switches, right? When it's on one side, when there's a retarded standard being set that isn't reflected in the law, and people are using it to draw a differentiation, they totally accept it. So they'll accept, oh, Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron maliciously stole views. Totally meaningless to the legal standard. But in this case, they are super anal about the fact that actually you can't draw a distinction with the airsoft gun because that doesn't make a difference to the legal standard. It's like, bro, it's just so insane. It's just so insane. The only point that the airsoft gun is relevant to, obviously it looks authentic. Anyone reasonable would just admit that it looks authentic, so there's no way for a viewer to know. But if someone is claiming it is a real firearm, it is worth correcting that, okay, it's not a real firearm. But it obviously looks authentic. It looks genuine, obviously. It's being used in place of a real firearm.
Looked at it before, but I'm going to look at it again. When you look at 653.2, which is right here, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have the intent...
Dude, no way. Dude, he's actually going to try and claim it falls under this fucking California cyber harassment law. Oh my god. Check Discord? Check Discord where? Where?
To place another person in reasonable fear, and then you publish their image, right? Such as their digital image of that person, even a public image. This is a big deal because a lot of people, especially when we get to the next one, think it has to be a private image. No, any digital image, even a public one, even their Facebook profile, even their Instagram.
No, I'm pretty sure under California, if you expose your PII, in the context, it does not, you cannot be, like, charged for that. I'm pretty sure it makes distinction there. But anyway, I don't think this law quite does what he says. Let's run it back.
Then you publish their image, right? Such as their digital image of that person, even a public image. This is a big deal because a lot of people, especially when we get to the next one, think it has to be a private image. No, any digital image, even a public one, even their Facebook profile, even their Instagram. When you publish that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
One.
So actually read what this says because we went over this the other day. Every person who, with intent to place another person in reasonable fear for his or her safety, or the safety of other person's immediate family, by means of it. So, first of all, reasonable fear for his or her safety, or the safety of other person's immediate family. So, this isn't what's happening. You would not be in reasonable, it is not reasonable for you to be in fear for your safety if you say, Shmang Hasan, Shmang Mamdani for treason, you need to be beat up in the street. If you're saying that, and someone says, what are you going to do about it, and waves a gun around at the webcam, that is not reasonable fear for your safety. That is clearly a response to the idea of being hanged. The only reason you would be in fear for your safety is if you were going to try and hang Hasan. That's clearly what's being communicated there. So you would not be in reasonable fear for your safety. So that's the first part. Without consent of the other person, and for the purpose of imminently causing that other person unwanted physical contact, injury, or harassment by a third party, electronically distributes, publishes, emails, hyperlinks, or makes available for downloading, personal identifying information, including, but not limited to, a digital image of another person, or an electronic message of a harassing nature about another person, which would be likely to incite or produce that unlawful action, is guilty of a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year in county jail, by a fine of not more than $1,000, or by both that fine and imprisonment. For the purposes of this section, the following terms apply. Harassment means a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that a reasonable person would consider as seriously alarming, seriously annoying, seriously tormenting, or seriously terrorizing that person, and that serves no legitimate purpose. Saying, oh, you're going to shmang me? What are you going to do about it? While waving a gun around, even a real one, I believe, while waving a gun around, and saying, you ugly skinny bitch, I cannot imagine under any interpretation of this would be considered placing someone in reasonable fear for their safety, or seriously alarming, seriously annoying, seriously tormenting, seriously terrorizing, to the point where you would censor that speech, the point where the government would prosecute that speech. That's absurd. That's totally absurd.
To be a private image, no, any digital image, even a public one, even their Facebook profile, even their Instagram.
Like, the First Amendment is a thing, right? It's so crazy to think such a light expression would be illegal in the US. That's just absurd.
When you publish that with the intent to intimidate, you violate.
Yeah, I've realized this. Lawtubers do suck, and this guy specifically sucks. He's a fucking idiot, and he knows he's riding the wave. So I'm just going to do legal analysis now. I'm just doing legal analysis. I'm obviously a total layman, but we're just doing legal analysis now. Even I can see you would have to be retarded to think that Hasan would receive criminal punishment under this. Even I, as a layman, can be absolutely certain. I would bet all the money I have that Hasan does not catch a charge under this.
Digital image, even a public one, even their Facebook profile, even their Instagram. When you publish that with the intent to intimidate, you violate California law. And I know that this
it's not just exposing personal data with the intent to intimidate or otherwise threaten. It has to rise to that reasonable standard. There are reasonability standards in that text. You are omitting key parts.
Constitute what the regular person would call doxing. Showing a public profile can be impermissible if you're doing it with the intent to intimidate or threaten. And that's what Hasan was doing. So while most people will not consider this doxing because it's public information, it is indeed criminal. And once again, even showing public information, if you do it with the intent, if you do it with the threatening nature, that's a problem, right? That's definitely a problem. This prevents people from pulling up public pictures and, saying whatever they want to say about it and being like, hey, go get this guy, right? Which essentially, if you think about it, right?
Yeah, I thought Hasan would have an argument that he was looking for the person who threatened him, and it wasn't for the purpose of harassment. Exactly. There's a whole thing with that has to be for no legitimate purpose. There's so many other standards that are being missed out here where Hasan has totally reasonable arguments. Not just reasonable arguments, but I find it absurd to think that a US court would rule against him.
With Hasan's large audience, him pulling up a photo and going in on a guy while he's holding a gun is sending a message to his audience that they need to go get this guy, that something needs to happen to this guy. Just saying. It's the intent. It's the intent that makes the difference. So the turning here is the state of mind. And what was the state of mind? And I think it's pretty clear. It wasn't a happy-go-lucky state of mind. We'll say that. Also, this is something that people brought up, and this is a very good point. If it was an airsoft gun, because people were saying it's an airsoft gun. I don't believe it was an airsoft gun, but let's pretend it was an airsoft gun. Then apparently modification is illegal under SB 199, which is California law. I did not know this. This is something I learned, right? Thank you, chat. Thank you, commenters. Thank you, people who email me. Apparently, even if it was an airsoft gun, it was illegal to modify it in California, which once again,
well, did he modify it though? I don't think it's modified. It might. I don't know if it's illegal to possess anyway, but it's not modified. I don't think he bought it in Japan, I believe, where they don't have the same restrictions. Obviously, if LegalMindset wasn't a complete fucking poser fucking phony ass weeb, he would know that from his playthrough of Persona 5 that in Japan you can get very realistic replica airsoft guns.
And Hasan should thank the great state of California, because pretty much, many of these laws are only California laws, right? Or specific California laws, right? But California requires that orange tip, just a tip, but it's got to be orange. Let's read some comments here before we keep going. Jojo Godfrey says, from what I've seen, Denims did have about an hour of plus commentary on Ethan's nuke, more than Frogan or Casetron, because means her case is strong. It could be, yeah, and her damages could be less, maybe. That's possible, right? However, I think she's still in trouble based on her statements about it being a market replacement. So I do think those are substitute, right? A substitute. I think Denims made probably the strongest comments. So while the commentary part may be true, this is a substitute comments really screw her. Lee Lake says, used to watch Legal for my Lawtube fix, but I'm really enjoying your channel and way more. Keep up yourself on the road to 1 million subs. We're going to get there slowly and steadily. We are going to get there very slowly. We're going to get there just slowly.
Oh, I've just noticed a suspicious account on Twitter. Green Gary, producer for Purple Parry Gaming. Surely this has nothing to do with Purple Parry Gaming's recent ban from Twitter for rape threats or something.
A Logical Victory for 10 says, hey again, my fellow Florida man. Twitch banned on account for calling out Hasan in his chat for the hypocrisy of Hasan targeting another Twitch user on Twitch while he was brandishing a weapon. Yes, he's still not banned though. Still not banned. Raider Storm says you should go on EFAP movie podcast for any law-related movie reviews they do, since I don't think they want Rekieta back after his incident. Maybe.
Dude, wait.
I'm happy to go on for law stuff, although I will say I do hate most legal movies because they're so not realistic as to the actual practice of law or the reality of law, but still. Sentinel Prime, welcome as a new member. Your Tuss 83, welcome as a new member. Bad News Badger says, I was watching some streams by people taking Hasan's side reacting to your video. None of them can make any arguments on what you said and spent more time attacking you instead of what you said.
How much you who else is even putting out videos attacking this guy? How much you bet that's mine? Who else is even covering this guy? I literally responded to every argument. I have responded to every argument. We covered Gaming Otter earlier, don't worry. Just go back in the VOD. I have literally responded to every argument this guy makes.
And the crazy thing is...
Debate him? I would debate fucking LegalMindset about the Hasan doxing allegations. I would actually do that.
Think that if they're able to discredit me, they're going to win. Well, here's the thing. And let me go back here to the first one. There is unanimous
the doxing and defamation allegations. We can go over, whether it's defamation to call him a passport bro. We can go over whether it's defamation to call him a fucking whatever else.
Amongst lawyers. So are you going to be able to go out there and discredit every lawyer on the internet or everybody that's done this?
Every lawyer is not saying that this is doxing and illegal. Every lawyer on the internet is not saying that, you fucking idiot.
Right? My good friend on civil law, Nate the lawyer, Runkle the Bailey, all these guys are commenting on this. Are you going to be able to take everybody out and say everybody's illegitimate? Because look, I don't care what people say about me. People are going to talk shit about me or going to try to attack me personally, whatever. I've never given a shit about that. I literally, again, all lawyers that are on the internet agree with me. Now, once again, they agree with me that the merits of the case. The merits of the case.
Going to law school would help you debate a lawyer. Why the fuck would I do that?
Favor of Ethan Klein. Nobody has come out and showed that, period. Right? Period. Spark68 says, I don't know any state that allows it wasn't real or working gun as an affirmative defense. If it looks real, it is. And this law isn't about whether or not it's a gun. It's about, is what you're doing intimidating? Edward says Hasan doxed the wrong guy, by the way. Oh, did he? Well, anyways, by the way, I do agree. Look, if Hasan, and this is a little bone, once again, I'm very fair here. If what he showed was a public profile, I think most people don't consider that doxing. Most people don't consider showing public profiles or public YouTube page or public whatever. They don't consider that doxing. However, it could still be illegal, even though it's not what you might consider, quote unquote, doxing.
So you haven't made any point there, have you? You haven't made any point there. You haven't actually engaged with any of the standard of the law there, just like totally retarded. But most people don't consider that doxing, but it could still be illegal. Okay, but it's probably not, is it? It's probably not, is it? Because there's all those reasonability standards that are baked into that law that you just read that you just totally ignored when you were actually analyzing it.
Right. Stillfire said, U.S. federal law requires orange tip. Really? Oh, interesting. Jan H. Kruger says, IMHO, real gun or not is irrelevant. Average people, especially from other jurisdictions, are unable to tell it. Exactly. I didn't look close enough. I wasn't doing an inspection and able to tell. I thought it could be a real gun or it could be an airsoft. I have no idea. Even me, who served in the army, cannot see. Fair point, German Bundeswehr. Oh, okay, yeah. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's not obvious. High Power for 10 says, would the Brandenburg v. Ohio line be crossed? I feel like Hasan is definitely tiptoed over it. He's pushing it. He's definitely pushing it, and that's where you get direct calls to violence or push to violence. And beyond that, with these statutes, they've already held up to constitutional scrutiny. So there's nothing about that statute, the electronic cyber harassment statute in California, that I think would be unconstitutional. I think that statute regarding, exposing personal data with the intent to intimidate, including digital images, even public images, the statute does not differentiate. I think it would stand up to constitutional scrutiny. Joshua Bradley says, is there a situation where Hasan could be held accountable for inciting violence from his audience out to this? Yes. If there's a situation where Hasan told his followers to go do something or take an action or go after somebody, yes, he could be held liable. Now, I haven't seen that yet, but if he did that, theoretically, hypothetically, yes. Yes. XQCL. Marcy says 2025, the era of people recording their crimes. It's crazy. It's crazy. People are recording themselves live and just convicting themselves live. It's great. Nopales Jesus says, to be fair, Hasan is the least threatening person. I don't think anybody's afraid of Hasan, actually afraid of Hasan, but he likes to LARP as a intimidating person. Big Buddha says, just a tip.
Yeah, I just don't believe for a fucking second that California law will hold you accountable for information that you publicize willingly yourself. Like, I understand it can still be public information, but there is a difference between something being public in the abstract versus something that you willingly make freely available in a specific context of interaction. That's insane. That's insane. You are willingly making this information available to the person and the other people in that context, right? You enter a chat, your Apex Crypto YT. You are making that available to those people. The idea that you would be able to seek criminal charges over someone using that seems absurd under the doxing law. Now, the cyber harassment law is slightly different, I think, because it can, obviously, if you're doing something that fills all those criteria, those reasonability criteria of, like, place someone in serious fear for their safety, all of that, then that could still hit, but it would be sort of separate to the doxing thing. And it just seems like it obviously would not apply. It seems like there is no way in hell a US court could possibly say that what Hasan did there was not protected.
Just phrasing. Love Archer. Alex says, 4 months. Let's go. Let's go. FKK, Truthon says, what would change if the orbiter was EU based? Well, if it was EU based and they violated IP law, I don't think that much. I think Ethan could still sue them. It'd be more expensive though. It'd be more.
I feel like, is this not just untrue and retarded? Don't you have to, doesn't copyright infringement, don't you sue in the country where the infringement occurred generally?
More expensive for him, but he could still sue him if you wanted to. That's a good question. I don't think much would change though. And Nori says, rare Cali Law W on being so restrictive on guns. I know, it's rare. Illogical Victory says, here's what I mean. Twitch full banned a user for criticism of Hasan. This is while Hasan was brandishing the gun. So Twitch was watching that live stream long. Yes, they know. They know. Twitch knew. So yes, they do have culpability here if they don't ban Hasan. Clay Ben Trace says, do you think that Twitch could be subpoenaed? Absolutely, they can. E1137 Neo says, you mean My Cousin Vinny or A Few Good Men aren't accurate depictions of proper learning? My Cousin Vinny is a classic. Don't slander My Cousin Vinny. Becky says, I'm more afraid of Hasan's chat. They are pretty unhinged. Reverend North says, on Epstein, we are not surprised, just disappointed. Yes, that's very true. That's fair. All right, let's continue here. So obviously there's more information and more defenses and stuff that was brought up. One thing I want to bring up real quick, and this is a good one, because some people brought this instance up. If you don't know, this is obviously more critical here. And he has he had an incident. He had an incident with Sneeko. I had the video pulled up, but I pulled it down and closed it at some point. But if you remember, Sneeko threatened him, and Sneeko was talking about clips. He's like, oh, look at these clips. So what More Critical did was, in true Florida man fashion, much like myself, said, you idiot.
Dude, every time I cover Legal Mindset, there's just always people who just start going, look at all this guy. Guys, listen, I can't check all of the little tips about how fucking crazy and weird this guy is, okay? I'm not going to run shit that I can't verify. I'm not going to do it on the fly. It's just like not going to happen.
These are not clips. These are mags.
But thank you for sending the info.
Right. And he showed him that, and he educated him on that. He was doing an educational, and this is, I'll put this one up, educational demonstration using a weapon for reference. There was no threat there. So when people say, what about Penguin Zero? What about Moist Critical? No. He didn't threaten them. He just showed that Sneeko was an idiot and didn't know what he was talking about.
Right.
And educated him on, gun terminology. That's not a threat. Right. So anybody who brought that up is, what about this guy? And by the way, I love the whataboutisms. It's great. There was no...
I don't even care about the critical comparison. I don't even think I've used a critical comparison. I didn't care about that. I think mainly the reason people bring up the critical thing is because they're similar situations. Like, you can say critical had this veneer of education. Obviously, the point was returning a threat. It was saying, look, I've got guns too. That was the point. So this is like cope as the actual meaning. I understand this would be a defense under the law. This would be a reasonable defense under the law. Now, what people are actually saying is they're not drawing a legal distinction with the most critical thing. They're saying the public response is different. Obviously, we can all read the implication of the critical thing, and it's similar to the Hasan one. Sneeko was threatening him. Critical returns by showing guns, basically saying, what are you going to do about this? Hasan did basically the same thing, except he more explicitly stated what you're going to do about it. So, there is a different public response to the two. When one happens, people are like, oh, that's based. When the other happens, people are virtue signaling and crying and saying it's so terrible. That's the point.
No threat there. If you find education threatening, that's your problem. Right? And maybe that's Hasan's problem.
Also, Charlie Clip is gay. Being a gun pedant is soy. Being a gun pedant when you're just going to get fucking, like, okay. I don't even know what I can say. Especially about Moist Critical. That's what got Mew Kitty taken out. I don't want I don't want to go crazy and lose all my shit, you know?
Problem too. Hasan finds my education threatening to him. And I'm sorry, Hasan. I'm just trying to help you learn and grow. I'm trying to teach you big
He's afraid of my Hasan is afraid of my intellect.
words. Big words like this.
The thing that he's afraid is what makes me so powerful is I can keep one eye on case law on one screen, and my other eye looking directly at you. So I can debate. I can debate case law while staring directly into your eyes, and I never have to take a break.
Vexatious litigant. You know, the word you don't know how to use? Yeah, we're gonna teach you big words, Hasan. You can be a big boy. Learn how to speak English properly. Illogical Victory said, is this live? Yes. Kettlefire Charmer Hilta says, in regards to that, Hasan actually told his audience to go after at least one U.S. senator a few months. Rick Scott. Yeah, and that, once again, he's very lucky. He's been very lucky with a lot of these things. Snowbrain says, as you stated legally, it makes no difference. But looking at the magazine he accidentally dropped, there's a small protrusion at the top that indicates it's airsoft. A real mag would be flat or slightly slated at the top. Oh, cool. Well, then he illegally modified an airsoft, right? And he committed a different crime as well, in addition, right? So not just intimidating, but also illegally modifying an airsoft. Oh my God. So congrats, you're guilty of more crimes then.
You illegally modified an airsoft. You illegally modified.
Hudson Hawk says, for 10, would it still be considered doxing if someone shared a link to a real estate website with Chink's nephew's address and other housing info? Yes, I think.
Yeah, no, I said this before, but it's from Japan. He didn't modify it himself. Don't know if that changed anything. Not sure if it has to have a tip by law anyway. But it is from Japan. It's not modified. Not the point anyway. Who cares?
But once again, I'm just gonna say this on my channel because I don't know if you saw my 300K subscriber.
You know what the craziest part is? You don't even have to be a lawyer to be a Lawtuber. Henry Resilient just started wearing a suit, and everyone thought he was a lawyer.
Episode, but while other channels and people do doxing and stuff like that, I don't support doxing in any form, shape, or manner. If anybody tries to do doxing on my channel, I'm going to ban you, right? So I don't support it. I don't endorse it. I think it's a horrible thing to do. So yeah, I don't encourage doxing at all whatsoever, even amongst people that are not nice to me. Right?
Brave stance.
Joshua Bradley says, have you seen the AI videos with Asmongold, Tecton, and Nux? I feel like you're slated to show up next. Probably. Friday Dream says, this stream might break Hasan. He's very fragile. I know. He's a gentle giant. Dunkus says, for 99. Question. Did he pull up the right account in response to their threats, or did he apply them to both accounts? If so, how does that change the argument on the correct threatening user? Just asking. So you guys are telling me it's the wrong person. I'm not sure whether it is or not. So this is all hypothetical for me. But if he did pull up the right person, that's a problem. And if he didn't, that's a problem. I mean, it could also be a problem if he pulled up somebody that, at random and directed hate towards them. I mean, that could cause separate problems. I don't think that changes the statutory analysis from the statute, the California statute. I don't think that changes the analysis, even if he brought up the wrong person. But I think that would give an additional possibility for a separate cause of action by the wrong person. So it would bring more heat on Hasan. Bruh says, just for context, the Dutch guy who was doxxed was innocent. Anyways, do you think he could sue Hasan accordingly to Dutch law? And with that having ramifications, should he want to enter the Schengen area? Yes. That's what I think. Now, you're a lawyer, but this is why I said he needs to contact a local lawyer, because what we want to make sure is that Hasan cannot get into any more Berlin brothels. We want to keep him out of Berlin brothels. So in order to do that, let's put
how are you going to cry about getting called a fucking passport, bro? Then you run with this. Then you're running with the retarded brothel shit. I get he's playing a very careful game where he's not actually saying anything. So it's obviously not defamation or anything. But holy fuck, how are you going to cry like a fucking bitch like that and then pull this? Crazy.
in the Schengen area, in the Schengen zone, so that next time he stops by, he's going to have more trouble than just with global entry, which we're going to talk about that later. Oh, we're going to talk about that as well. So yes, I would get with a Dutch. Wait,
he's going to cover the brothel
see what
stuff?
you can do.
No way.
And at a bare minimum, get him so he can't connect in Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, which is a great airport, by the way. I do love the Amsterdam airport. It's a great airport. The Schengen zone is Europe, right? It's essentially the EU. It's the EU. They have a security agreement whereby there are no borders within the Schengen zone. So when you enter the Schengen zone, you can travel freely through the Schengen zone. It's a nice little Euro bubble, for those that don't know, right? For those that don't know. Let's see. Dan L says, I wish I was a fly on the wall when they play vids in the court relating to Ethan's case. I know. It's going to be great. Jam John says, would love a reaction, new SKG video from Ross talking about EU lobbying efforts. I'll look at it. Maybe. I'll take a look. Gray says, for 5, Hasan's orbiters, Dem's others have offered bounty money to get rid of people they disagree with. Twitch was never banned for that. That's really bad. I think it was Asmongold, right? Asmongold had a bounty on him. Once again, Twitch allowing flagrant threats on folks it's a line. And you know, it's something that the more degenerate platforms
more awkward and odd looking while giving blow ease. Laggy boy mindset or tiny.
Okay, thank you for the $5, Twitch guys. Huge appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Get away with because they're small and insignificant, but Twitch is not small, and there need to be consequences for that. QB says, I am surprised the parent company Amazon has not stepped in to fix Twitch's mismanagement, especially after Hasan brandished his pea shooter. I think there's a point at which they will, but you know, maybe they
Any
are
day now, guys.
giving some leeway there. I don't know what Amazon's thoughts are on that, but I think it's a little bit too much.
Right. How many times are you gonna hear the same shit? Yo, guys, I think Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch now. I think Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch. Dan Clancy's gone, yo. Hasan's gonna get banned. Amazon's gonna really come down on Twitch. Shut up, man. Shut the fuck up.
Leeway. And where the pressure needs to come is on the advertisers. There needs to be another advertiser.
Trust the plan, guys. You know? Trust the plan. Any day, the day of the storm is coming.
Says UF Law CO 2012, Masters of Tax Law 2013. Go Gator! Oh man, a man after my own heart, my own law school. Shout out to the Gators. Spider Bro says it's funny that he tried to compare himself to Charlie when he was clearly acting like Sneeko. Yes. In this story, he was Sneeko, not Charlie. He was not Charlie. Ghost of Aces says the federal law for the orange tip is for sale. The removal varies by state, but it's
Sneeko's cooler than Charlie. I prefer Sneeko to Charlie any day. I would take Sneeko over fucking Moist Critical literally any day of the week.
Always supposed to be treated as a real firearm. Well, the California law, it's under the California law, and I don't have it pulled up right now, sorry, but the California law, you're not supposed to modify it even post-sale from what I read. The varying state to state, yes, that's very much true with a lot of regulations. LJ O'Rourke says, member for 14 months. Yes, truly educational. I do get irked on people not understanding the terms of firearms and its parts. And to be honest, guys, even I get those things wrong. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's the guntism. The guntism is strong. But that said,
dude, the Sneeko critical debate literally made that guy have like a fucking week and a half long crash out and quit Twitter. He literally got owned in the child marriage versus child transition debate. Child marriage or choose which way, Western man? Argue for child marriage or argue for children transitioning? And Sneeko, man with nothing to lose, man who does not care about optics, was able to just make whatever arguments he needed to. Meanwhile, Charlie, optics cucked, loser, milquetoast, fence-sitting pussy, could not just lay down exactly what he thought. Could not lay out a consistent line of thinking.
I do appreciate a good educational piece, and Charlie was doing an educational piece. And I'm about to do an educational piece on immigration and immigration law. So you're about to get one here because I've got something special for Hasan. Donovan Smart for $4.99 says, do you think Nux can press charges on Hasan for constantly calling him something he isn't? It seems he's getting harassed by people online. Yes.
It wasn't Charlie literally arguing for like letting 9-year-olds transition? Didn't he literally, was it not 9-year-olds he got baited into arguing?
I think that there's a point at which Nux can. Now, Nux needs to collect all the evidence, needs to take all the clips, needs to do all that stuff. But I think there's a point at which you can. But the thing is, and understand this, Hasan has only been able to get...
Dude, I'm sure any day now, Nux will be suing. Nux will be revealing his full legal identity soon.
When it's been too long since his last trip to the potentially illegal Thai lady boy brothel.
Okay, well, I don't know about that.
Smile.
I don't know about any of that. I don't know about any of that. Thank you for the donor, though. Huge appreciated. Nux will be revealing himself any day now, guys. Nux will be putting his legal name on public record any day now. It's happening.
Get away with this because he's in America. He would never be able to get away with this outside of America, which is why he will never leave the country and why he cannot leave.
Charlie was not just saying children's transition was preferable to child marriage. He was saying it was okay. He was supporting child transition. He was saying, yeah, I don't know why a 9-year-old shouldn't be able to transition or some shit like that. He literally was arguing the point. He was not just saying one is better than the other. That was not the point.
Right. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Right. Spark68 says, you mean the Lincoln lawyer didn't show real trial and real law? No. Mateo Flores for 50 Swedish kroner says, is it smart saying that you only go for a headshot when you talk about Hasan after him threatening a guy with a gun? I know that also felt like a threat. No, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. The metaphor is
Play what back?
The Lincoln lawyer didn't show real trial and real law. No. Mateo Flores for 50 Swedish kroner says, is it smart saying that he would never be able to get away with this outside of America, which is why he will never leave the country and why he cannot leave the country. Right. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Right. Spark68 says, you mean the Lincoln lawyer didn't show real trial and real law? No. Mateo Flores for 50 Swedish kroner says,
yeah,
it's smart.
Like seeing that America has free speech. Wow. He would never get away with this. Yeah, because America has free speech. There's a First Amendment. It's awesome. No? Don't you like that? Think that's awesome? Why are you like drooling over the idea of him not being able to leave the country? When he does leave the country, why do you think he can't?
Aren't saying that you only go for a headshot when you talk about Hasan after him threatening a guy with a gun. I know that also felt like a threat. No, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. The metaphor is you don't.
No, his point is not that Hasan is a hypocrite. What is this retarded cope of people? Dude, people always have some retarded fucking cope that is like some separate point that no one's making. Hasan's a hypocrite. Oh, it's about the Twitch double standard. That's not what anyone's saying. He's arguing this shit's illegal.
Try to hamper somebody in a minor way. If you're going to come after somebody, use your full effort. And
he's not just saying, how can you shit on America while reaping its benefits? He's saying, what Hasan's doing be illegal anywhere else. He'd be locked up.
Energy. That's all. But yes, I do appreciate you.
In fact, he's arguing a lot of the stuff Hasan does is illegal under American law, which is just like totally retarded.
Pointing that out. Thank you. Patrick S. says he's Twitch's golden child. They even sang him happy birthday. Yes, they did. He won't get banned unless Twitch themselves gets sued for their bias. I think there's going to be a broader issue with Twitch at some point, and it's going to be something that hits them so hard that they have to correct these issues.
Yeah. You live in America where you're protected by the First Amendment. Yet you use your First Amendment to criticize the American government? Really? Really? Isn't that kind of hypocritical? Isn't that kind of hypocritical that the First Amendment protects your speech, yet you use it to criticize the government? Isn't that kind of hypocritical? You'd get arrested if you went anywhere else in the world. Wow, very principled people here, clearly.
Hudson Hawk says, good to know. I wouldn't dream of sharing it. I was just curious about the legality or possible consequences. Yeah, sure. Gray Jazz says they need to reopen Guantanamo Bay. The first inductee should be Hasan with how much hate he spreads. I mean, look, I'm not saying that Hasan needs to be tortured, right? I think that's your implication there. However, Hasan's associations have gotten him into trouble. And he's already lost something that I think is pretty significant and kind of went under the radar legally. on why he lost this thing. So we're going to get into it real quick in a second. Okay. G&H Group.
Oh, we're going to get some amazing analysis of the idea of material support for terrorism and his global pass. I'm getting early, getting quicker rather. I got this could be real smart stuff.
Says,
I can tell already.
Schengen. That is too simple. EU countries are not in Schengen, but nor EU can be part of Schengen, but it started in Europe, not EU first. Yeah, so like, yeah, it's a hard thing to explain, but just generally, I imagine people outside the EU trying to imagine it as like the traditional Europe is usually within the zone. Mayor Manu Hanya for 100 says, how strong of a case other streamers have against Twitch on breach of contract or unfair trade practices with Tectone? I think Tectone does have a fairly strong case. Amongst all the streamers, Tectone is up there. Susan Spy became a new member. Welcome. Doc Jizzo says, could a plaintiff sue Twitch for damages and have them designated as a publisher if one could prove they intended to stream on Twitch but decided not to do for fear of their bias moderation? So you're kind of bringing 230 into that. And I don't know whether or not that would work. It's a novel legal argument. You could try it, but it's a novel argument. I'm not going to tell you that you have a slam dunk argument. That's a creative argument. I don't know how much juice it would have in court. VR says, I'm American. As far as I know, most states require airsoft to have orange tips or to be visibly distinct from real weapons. That's what I generally know as well. Walter Mellon says for $19.99, I've seen Twitch streamers play films that are on Amazon Prime. Does that change anything, or can the original copyright holders go after them? I think they have an agreement there because of the parent company. So I think they have an agreement. Robert Van Beek says in the Netherlands, online threatening is very serious. Even suggesting a threat with a dough roller could result in a police visit. There we go. So once again, let's ban Hasan from the Netherlands. Then at least the Netherlands brothels will be safe. Right? Yurdas83 for 20 legal mindset memberships. Thank you. Yes. Let's get here. Is Hasan hiring Ricada?
That's so cringe.
AKA Lionel Putz. Oh man. Oh, hold on. I've got to play the Ricada. Where's the Ricada clip? I got it here.
And they're still fucking nerds.
Bad News Badger for one half says, half imagine it's like going to from Canada to the US. You're checked at the Canadian border, but when you clear, there's nothing stopping you from traveling. Yeah, there you go. Alleged Drake says, morning from St. Augustine, oldest city in the continental United States. I love you, brother. Keep up the good content. Yeah, and I love St. Augustine. It's a great city. I've been there many times. Bad News Badger said Twitter too. From Washington, California, you can get shot now. Well, care race. Okay, let's lose or out. I apply that to Hasan and as a time. And by the way, not all you are Schengen, but all Schengen. Oh, but all the EU can travel freely, right? So there's and so again, North do, and just going to drive through Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, right? As part of your nice.
Yeah, it's just like they suddenly become huge fans of like retarded EU speech laws when it benefits them, and they just sit there drooling over the idea of Hasan being arrested. Like they're like just fantasizing about Hasan getting arrested when it's just not going to happen. Thank you, Present Sunday, for the raid. Thank you. Welcome, Sunday Raiders. We're just watching some legal mindset coverage of Hasan's recent dramas. It's fucking terrible.
Euro trip. Good movie. Scotty still doesn't know. Scotty still does not know. Okay. By the way, I want to encourage everybody, if you haven't had a chance, go check out all of the videos by the other Lawtubers. They are excellent. So I'm just going to share the screen over here so you guys see it. Right. So this is from Ethan Klein, Runkle the Bailey here. Ethan Klein of H3 Sues over lazy reaction videos. Then you've got Ethan Klein's copyright lawsuit trap. And then you've got this one here. Hasan Piker makes true threats, doxes another streamer, right? Doxes another streamer. So you've got a lot of good stuff there to check out from Nate the Lawyer and from Uncivil Law and from Runkle the Bailey. Check out those videos. They're all good stuff. They're all great people. They're all very smart. I have a lot of respect for those guys, all of them, right? And they're all with different specialties. Runkle's a Canadian lawyer, so he obviously knows Canadian law better, and he leans into firearms law. Uncivil law, he's done some IP stuff. He's done some patent stuff. He knows constitutional law really well. Nate's a former law enforcement, right? And he's in New York, so he knows New York stuff really well, right? Knows a lot about law enforcement, right? So they each have their own specialty, which is great. They're real people. I know. It's crazy. Alex gifted 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you.
Yes. I can't, man.
Here with you all.
Wait,
I thought I was
fuck.
gonna have technical difficulties. I thought it was That's very USA. Inspectre says for 9. Spark 68 says, can federal court trial evidence be downloaded online once it's entered at trial using Pace? What are your thoughts on Moon Channel and the No, I've already talked about that. So the assumption, both devoutly follow and worship the book, Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, which
Yeah. Solinsky mention. Dude, it's like the surest sign of just like someone who's completely brain rotted. They start bringing up Saul Alinsky. Yeah, these people worship the Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. Dude, shut the fuck up.
explains your vile and evil actions. I haven't read that, so I don't know. Colin and Lucas for 2. Thank you. Logical Victory says Alligator Alcatraz is looking for volunteers. The Village Idiot says, did you ever think you would get in this feud with Hasan when you started covering H3H? No, I did not. I never thought that Hasan would be coming at me. It's hilarious. Izam Sushi said, I live in Utah and just checked the law. It is not illegal to remove the orange tip. Cool. Greens from Singapore. Love your content. Awesome. I'm going to be down in Singapore in November. I'm looking forward to it. I love Singapore. Singapore is awesome. The food's great. It's really fun. The Black Saiyan says Hasan constantly lies. How would that stand in court if someone sues for defamation? It would look bad, but it depends on who it is. The problem with it is that in America, defamation law is very permissive, particularly against other public figures like other streamers. So he gets away with a lot. But if he lived in another country, and we're about to talk about it, guys. We're about to get into it. We're about to get into how Hasan cannot live in another country. Unlike many of his friends, unlike myself, unlike most normal people, how Hasan Piker is stuck in California. Jordan Joseph said, question, is this guy Hasan a member of Hamas? Not officially. Metal Ninja said, may I request Mega Bass Shondo clip for Florida? Okay, hold on. I got you. Okay, you want some Mega Bass? I got you.
Not as in, I cannot absolve you.
This part is so dumb.
Mega-based.
Dude, what freaky ass shit going on in this stream? What kind of freaky ass shit this guy up to? Brother rocking the Chud Logic hairline, playing the Cunny celebration gifts. What kind of freaky ass shit happening on this stream?
Not officially. Metal Ninja said, may I request Mega Bass Shondo clip for Florida? Okay, hold on. I got you. Okay, you want some Mega Bass? I got you.
Not as in, I cannot absolve you. Mega-based.
The Florida.
They're doing like lolly affirmations. Like, this is very worrying stuff. Very concerning. Demonic energy on this live stream.
Florida sheriff that says, we prefer you to shoot. It saves us the paperwork. Joshua Bradley says, with people like Hasan, they're big now, but they continue to burn bridge after bridge after bridge until only one remains. And then they burn the bridge to their island as well. Don't do this, guys. It's very bad. Yeah, it's really dumb. If Hasan gets brought to trial, he'll most likely bring Legal. Legal's not even going to defend this guy. Even Legal wouldn't defend this. I don't even think he would. If Legal stoops that low, I would be shocked. Alex for 5 says, wow. Hasan is the smartest in the room if he's the only one there. Bongi for 15 Malaysian ringgit. This has probably been covered since I'm late today, but what is actually considered doxing? Love your work. Well, okay, there's a what we call a regular person's definition of doxing and what is illegal, right? So it can be illegal to threaten somebody and show their picture, even a public picture, like an Instagram picture, Facebook, whatever, like YouTube profile, whatever. That could be illegal. But doxing is generally releasing private information that is not readily available. So, for example, like your home address, or like, for example, if you're a private person and you have an alias, like, for example, my VTuber friends, right? Shout out to VTubers. So you're a VTuber and you have a VTuber name. And all of a sudden people expose your real name. That would be doxing because you don't publicly put that information out there. You're not trying to put that information out there, and someone is putting that information out there without your consent or approval. So that's different. That's something that is generally bad, and I don't support that, right? So that's why I say if anybody engages in that on my channel, sorry, I'm going to ban you, right? Because I think you should get somebody's consent before releasing information about them. If they don't care to have that information released, it should not be released. Sorry. So yeah. DB says, given the state of UK, Hasan would probably get knighted. Torik Rama says,
wait, that's a good idea. Now this person's talking sense. Let's get Hasan a knighthood. Now that's what I'm talking about. Finally, some good ideas on this stream. Now that's what I'm talking about. Knight Hasan, let's go. Sir Hasan Piker. We need this now.
If UK, Hasan would probably get knighted. Torik Rama says, another Florida sheriff said, if you threaten one of our deputies, we'll you graveyard dead. Florida's based. Florida has some crazy sheriffs, and God bless their hearts. Spider Mattress says, from Arkansas, love your content. Awesome. So let's talk about Hasan. Okay.
So imagine the Ethan Instagram stories if Hasan got knighted. Imagine the Ethan Instagram stories while Hasan is having the sword touched over his shoulders.
So in case you don't know, this is Hasan with his friends on Trash Taste. So he visited Japan as a tourist. Right?
I did see his Instagram stories today about Cedar. Yeah. How can you look at another man like this? And it's just like a funny picture. Obviously, it is meant to make Hasan look kind of like, a himbo. Like, that's the point. That's the joke in the picture. But it's just Sam Cedar not taking himself particularly seriously. And Ethan's just there like, how could you possibly look at another man like this?
Right. And he talked about moving to Japan. But one thing is that Hasan, unlike many other people, and this is a little
I saw people posting this in response. I posted this on Twitter earlier. You're really getting in this position for another man? You really gotta let another man bend you over like that? Ain't no way, Ethan. Ain't no way. You're really letting another man bend you over like that. That's crazy.
Immigration law and moving to other countries, particularly moving to Asia segment here. So Hasan has no ability.
Thank you, Rooster Rick, for the 1250, saying, I am definitely a lawyer, and it is my legal opinion that Andrew should change his name to Big Whiny Pussy Mindset. Thank you for the 1250, Rooster Rick. Thank you so much.
To be a long-term resident elsewhere. His buddy Connor, Sea-Dog VA, he's a long-term resident of Japan. He's an expatriate. He works for an agency, so he has a long-term work visa. He had to go through a criminal background check. He had to go through lots of other vetting by Japan. So he's good, and Japan wants him here long-term. Then we have our buddy Ramsey Khalid Ismail. So Ramsey Khalid Ismail came in as a tourist to Japan. He did not have a long-term visa. He did have a tourist exemption. And he came in under this tourist exemption, no background check, no criminal background check, unlike Sea-Dog, because long-term residents have to have this. He came in and became a tourist. That became a criminal. So he was arrested. He was officially a criminal in Japan. He's banned from the country for 5 years. Now, Hasan is not yet a criminal, but he's only a tourist. And he will always be a tourist because of two things. First of all, his association with questionable individuals. So he had his global entry revoked. So you have to clear a pretty extensive background check to get global entry. And one thing I'm going to use here, which I think is
So Hasan will never be able to immigrate, guys. Cool.
Is that while Hasan Piker got denied global entry, I had to cover the personal information, but your boy Legal Mindset indeed still has global entry. So, gonna get Hasan real salty that your boy still has global entry, but Hasan Piker.
Wow, very cool. Very cool, Andrew. Very
whenever
cool.
you enter the country.
No way.
After traveling abroad.
No way, bro. You got global entry? Well, very cool, Andrew. No way. That's very cool. Awesome stuff, man.
So W Mindset, legally, of course, globally, legally. L Hasan Piker. We got him, boys. We got him.
Look, and he's doing like
so
the lamest like WL signs with his hands. Look.
Whenever you enter the country after traveling abroad. So W Mindset.
He does like a limp W here.
Legally, of course, globally, legally. L Hasan Piker.
And he does like a limp L here with his hand. Dude.
We got him, boys. We got him. But beyond that, the one real reason why he could never make it abroad.
This guy's so autistic, man.
Will have to stay in California for the rest of his days. Is because Japanese defamation. You would never be able to move to Japan. Because in Japan, defamation is both criminal and civil. And under Article 230, it prohibits publicly defaming another person by alleging facts. So all of this streaming that Hasan does, he nonstop defames people. Non-fucking stop. And there's no defense for that that's going to work for him. Because in order to defend yourself in Japan, you have to allege true facts in the public interest for the public benefit. So, for example, that would be covering like a criminal case or covering like big news. But you do not have a right to call somebody names without a reasonable basis for that.
Whoa.
So Hasan will never be able to live anywhere in Asia.
Yeah, Japanese defamation sounds incredibly gay, for real. Well, okay, oh no, Hasan won't be able to move to Japan and still be streaming. Oh no, Hasan, it's over.
Man.
Hasan is 1,000% cooked.
Unlike his friend C-Dog, who knows better and is able to play nice, right? So that's just a little bit I wanted to throw in there about Hasan. Just as a little touche. Touchpad for 50 Swedish kronor. So let's be real. Hasan would be the smartest person in the void. Laughing Man says, not sure if this was asked, but if Nux goes to court, does he have to...
We hate free speech. We love draconian defamation laws. We hate free speech. We love draconian defamation laws. Fuck your rights. Fuck your rights. We hate free speech.
Show his IRL face. If he's called as a witness in court, yes. If Nux went to court and he had to speak, yes, he would. Hypnotic and Rapture said, as a giant lawyer, are you blessed by Anukai? Must be. Stellar says, love from India. Shout out to my Indian brothers and sisters. Big Buddha says, global mindset. You know what's up? You know what's up? I'm an international. I love the world. The world is great. International lover. Spider Bro says, to be fair to Hasan, he's smarter than his orbiters, but that's not saying much. With other IQs combined, it wouldn't be close to room temperature. Joshua Bradley said, hold up, give me a close-up of that global entry pick. It's kind of wide. I'm kind of wide in this global entry pick. Like, and it's kind of a mug shot. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this one big. It's kind of a mug shot there. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, it's kind of a mug shot there. Looks good though. Still looks good. Rolando Feliciano said, did Hasan's pirate buddy just make a suggestion that he could do something untoward towards Ethan? That would be bad. That would be bad. And oh yeah, I know that, by the way, Nate moved to Houston. Nate, the lawyer, moved to Houston. But he had spent a lot of time in New York. So I know my mod corrected me on that, but he'd spent a lot of time in New York, knows New York very well. Night Magnus says, not only this, but Japan is very adverse to terrorism. Islamists, Japan probably deny him for his statements to Hamas, Nasrallah, and his pal, the Houthi terrorists. That's what I was saying. So when I was talking about him being denied global entry, that's because of his affiliations. So what I'm saying is those affiliations would be more than enough grounds for them to reject him from Japan. And I do believe that if he tried to actually move, that might stop him. So, for example, if he tried to go set up a business there or work for a company there, whatever, he would probably be stopped. But beyond that, defamation would sink him. And I would love that. Oh, please, Hasan, come to Japan. I will have you. We're going to have the best defamation case. It's going to be great. Hoopty says, latest swears on me. Got a jet. Have a good one. Thank you. Grandmaster Pa says, could Hasan be arrested and civilly liable if he did streams to Japan? Yes, he could. We need Legal Mindset to help him immigrate immediately. I know. He should come over. Like I said, I will debate Hasan. I will debate Hasan face to face anytime in Korea, Japan, Thailand, or the Philippines. If he wants to debate me on the law, and we'll have lawyer moderators. He can pick a lawyer and I'll pick a lawyer, right? Well, we can pick 2 lawyer moderators, right? I will debate him on the law anytime, Hasan. You want to do the Thriller in Manila? Let's do it. You want to do the Terror in Tokyo? Let's go. The Showdown in Seoul, the Bangkok Brawl? Let's do it. Any of them. Because the defamation laws that he would trigger would be epic. And we'll both stream it. And we'll see how many seconds it takes him to get sent to jail. Snowfire says, don't failure to declare agricultural items or lose your global entry, Nexus Canadian border, or fast. That's true. It's Reddit says, Legal Mindset, go get Global Pass. Got the Global Pass. That's right. Deha says, I'd love to see Hasan get denied Japan. That'd be, But that's a long-term visa. Remember, for short-term tourism, they don't check as much. But for long-term, they check much more, like with Sea-Dog. And shout out to Sea-Dog, who's been able to behave himself, right? Bad News Batch says, but Andrew, everyone knows that you know where Americans can go. They can do whatever they want because they're Americans and have the Constitution. Yes, that's the Johnny Somali argument. Can Hasan come to India? I actually don't know Indian defamation law. That's a good question. Hudson Hawk says, off topic, you have a favorite brand of soju? Huayo. That's the one I was drinking the other day for my 300K celebration stream. Huayo is my favorite brand. Patrick says, ever since that content cop was dropped, it seems like everyone involved in that got the Sonichu medallion, all crashing and burning. They all ride in the same mentally deranged bus.
Dude.
Church says, love you, Andrew. Most base lawyer. Love from the Netherlands. Shout out.
Just like, it's like
Phoenix Wright defend
being the only sane person in the world. It's like just such a surreal feeling, you know. There's just like literally everyone is just like completely deluded, you know. I know that sounds crazy to say, but you watch this and it really is just like there are people who don't see that Ladyboy Mindset here is like a complete fucking retard spinning absolutely nothing into some big legal case claiming it's criminal doxing, and that they actually just sit here and just seal clap. And no one gives a fuck either. And plenty of other retards run with a lot of these same talking points. And no one gives a fuck. It's just so insane.
H3 lawsuit. Clan for 100 Danish kroner says, off topic, sorry, but not related to any particular case. But do you think of any scenario where a VTuber could sue or be sued in court without revealing their face or identity? It's no. That's the problem.
Come on, Nux. Sue Hasan, Nux. Sue, come on, Nux.
So no.
Come on, Nux, file that lawsuit, Nux.
Big Buddha says Hasan is friends with a Houthi pirate that likes One Piece. Nux has named him Luffy the Houthi. Wonderful association.
Nux said he was going to sue Hasan. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm excited to cover that case.
To have when trying to get a permanent visa in Japan. Exactly. And when they're looking at your resume and they're saying, hey, should we let this guy in? Oh, well, he's friends with Luffy the Houthi. It's not a great
don't
look.
be like,
Soul says, was wondering what could be worse for Hasan, the lost his global entry versus someone who never had it, since you need to do something to lose it. Exactly. He went out of his way to get rejected. Usually they're not paying that close of attention. The fact that he had it revoked means he was doing something bad. Sanders said, greeting from Norway. Sorry for asking, but when do you think the date for Ethan's court? It's going to be a while. Do you think it could be a chance for public court? No, it's not going to be televised. However, it will be public. So you can go to it in person, but there will be no cameras. Wambat says, why does Section 230 cover crimes on a platform when the platform operates like a publisher? We'll cover 230 on a separate thing. 230 is really deep, so I don't want to go into 230 right now. There's a lot of case law with 230. 230 is not simple. 230 is complicated. Industrial Bear, but good question. But 230 is not, I have to have my PP for 230 will be very substantial. Right. Widow's Peak looking mighty fine. Andrew, got that Eddie Munster vibe. I do like the Munsters. Tomer Schwartz says, can make them check if he goes short term. They can check and they can still deny you. So Hasan could be so hated eventually that they deny him even short term, but that's very rare. Typically, that's only if you're like really problematic. Now, it did happen with World of T-Shirts, who's a nuisance streamer. He got bounced out of Dubai.
I'm here seething at this. Thanks. Here's some Japanese shekels.
Thank you for the 1,600 yen, Gruel. Huge appreciate. Thank you.
Because he was such a problem. So he landed in Dubai. He was going to do like a layover there or something like that. They said, nope, you got to leave immediately because you're too much of a problem. So it can happen. Countries can do it. Remember, countries have sovereign authority to reject whoever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. B-Dog 1058 says, it's all about, if it's about American defamation laws, why would he debate you in a country outside of America? Why can't it be in America? It's not about American defamation laws, right? It's about him making statements. Well, it isn't just about that, right? It's about his general statements on the law, right? So it's about also the California laws, right, that he thinks he's immune from, right, etc. So yeah, good question. But yeah, it's about a lot of different laws, not just defamation law. In fact, defamation law is not at all facing him at all right now. He's not being sued. Hasan is not being sued for defamation right now. Let's get that clear. His orbiters are being sued for copyright. He's not being sued for anything, is he? He may be guilty of electronic cyber harassment and of illegally modifying an airsoft weapon.
He ain't being sued for shit.
Those two things. So he's not yet.
He ain't being sued for shit. He ain't being charged for shit. Nothing happening. And if it does, it's an injustice. But it's not.
For defamation. He may be in the future. And that's my prediction. Vithin for 200 says, I mean,
how much does this guy want to bet? Does this guy want, is this guy taking bets on that? This guy taking bets on that? How many months? How much do I put on it? Charges against Hasan within the next 6 months.
No matter what he has done, won't he be able to get a visa by other means? I mean, aren't people indulging in illegal activities getting what they want? No, they do not. That's not true at all. Especially in Japan, especially in Japan, especially in Japan. Japan does a lot of scrutiny, and they do not allow things to slide like that. That's not how their system works. I mean, maybe people think that that was the way everywhere. It's not. It really is not. If you draw too much heat on yourself, Japan's not going to want you in. People get denied all the time for much less than what Mr. Piker did. So yeah, money is not always a solution. Michael for 5 says, have you heard of the lawsuit on the hostile takeover of Pure Spectrum CBD and Joe Rogan's friend / failed comedian Brandon Schwab? I need your take. I have not heard that. Gregory Wyman says, Hasan knows what the line is with what he can get away with on Twitch, but the legal is different. It doesn't matter until a lawsuit is filed, what is actually possibly trigger action by government. Well, obviously lawsuits can curb things. Obviously a lawsuit could curb things. And somebody placing a very good lawsuit against Hasan would be one way to check him, right? That's one method of checking. Stellar said, wow, this Hasan situation is peak entertainment. I've not watched some good stuff on the internet for a long time until this dropped. I know, it's great stuff. We have 10,000 people in the chat, guys, 10,000 people. So smash that like button. Appreciate that. Let me read some over here on locals. This is from another lawyer in Australia, Aussie Overlord. Good to see you, man. It says, seen a few clips Is this all hands on deck scenario, or is Hasan being Hasan? This is no. I think it's all hands. Yeah. But they can discredit every lawyer on the planet. It won't change the law of the facts. Exactly. That's a great comment by Ozzy over there. He's an Australian lawyer. So yeah, no matter what they try to say about me or even the other lawyers in Lawtube or et cetera, it doesn't change the law, the facts, or the reality of what's going to happen. And I know that hurts Hasan's feelings, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to let him cope and seethe. Deborah Breeden says, the greetings to the Florida man from the Panhandle. Cool. And Hasan is getting pegged just like RKI. Wait, I don't want that image in my head. Why did you have to put that image in my head? Hudson Hawk says, per the orange tip, California Penal Code 20150. Thank you. Thank you. Always remember the tip. All right, guys, with that said, I'm going to end this one here. I'm going to catch you on the next one, maybe from Japan. Stay based, and I'll catch you later. Peace.
Wow.
You are
Okay. Well, that was terrible.